Hello YouTube, my name's Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions, and I do my best to go ahead and answer them. This week we're doing something a bit different. This week, instead of basically taking a bunch of questions that I got from my inbox, I'm basically going to be taking the one question that everybody is wondering, and that is, what are my impressions of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare so far, right? So everyone wants to know that, everyone wants to see the impressions, so I figure we're going to take the entire Dear Nero for this week, and just talk about my impressions of Advanced Warfare. I've actually taken this and broken it down into 5 different categories. We're going to be talking about the new additions to the game, the maps, the guns, the kill streaks, as well as the perks, and hopefully it turns out to be a good episode of Dear Nero. The gameplay we're looking at here, I'm using the HBR, which is one of my favorite rifles in the game so far. I am definitely enjoying this gun a whole lot. We're playing on the map Recovery, which you don't know too much about Recovery. It is set in Hawaii next to a volcano, and partway through the match, a volcano is about to erupt, and you have to evacuate the map and go to a different portion of the map, which is pretty freaking cool. It's something that we've never seen in Call of Duty games before, and I definitely like it. I think it's a welcome change. I think it's some actual Levolution as compared to stuff we had in Call of Duty Ghosts, where you could, like, you know, shoot over logs, and instead of just having a ladder be someplace, you had to shoot the ladder to make the ladder fall down, so then you could climb it. You know, that wasn't Levolution whatsoever. But this kind of stuff where there's a volcano erupting, you have to evacuate, otherwise you end up dying. I think that's kind of a cool little feature they've added to the game, as well as there's a bunch of different examples of that throughout Advanced Warfare. Let's start talking about the new additions here in Advanced Warfare. First and foremost, I just kind of covered a little bit towards the Levolution. I think that's awesome. Another good example is on the map Biolab, where partway through the match, they end up taking like a crane. No, it's not a crane. It's like a helicopter thing that comes in. It drops off a new building, like outside of the map, and if you're playing Domination, the B flag goes from like on top of this platform to inside, like in the second story of this new building. It's pretty cool. So like playing Domination on that map is completely different than, you know, if you were playing it, you know, 5 minutes prior or 2 minutes prior, something like that. You know, you'll be playing it and the flag will be outside in the middle, and then suddenly the flag is outside inside of a building and on the second story. And I think that's pretty cool. Like I said here, the map, you have to completely change maps partway through this map, and I think it's pretty cool that they actually added actual Levolution a little bit to the maps, rather than just making it your standard Call of Duty, or even trying to half-ass the Levolution, kind of like what Call of Duty Ghost did by making it so you could shoot at logs and those logs would fall over. Did anybody in the world in an actual public match ever get a kill with those logs? Like, what was the point of those things? I really have no idea. I am sad to see that they did not take my idea of a random weather system. I know that they posted on their website they were actually looking for somebody who could do that kind of thing, and that would have been definitely pretty cool. The idea of my random weather system, which I've talked about in a couple of videos, but some of you guys may not be aware of what I was talking about. I had the idea for Call of Duty that every time you load into a match, there should be random weather. Now, like, let's say here on the map Recovery here, if you spawn in, there's a 25% chance that it's just going to be raining on this map. There's a 25% chance that it's going to be sunny on the map like it is right now. There's a 25% chance it's going to be like snowing on this map, or maybe there's a 25% chance that it's going to be like kind of like an overcast, like it's just going to be really dark and gloomy out or something like that. Just something that every time you load into a map, it would have like random weather. I also had the idea that there should be random times of the day, like every time you spawn to the map, not only is it going to be random weather, you never really know which weather pattern you're going to get while you're playing that match, but also have it be a random time of the day. Maybe make it morning, maybe make it sunset, maybe make it nighttime, you know, that kind of thing. Who knows? That would have been pretty cool, I thought, but it turns out they didn't actually do any of that within the game, which is kind of disappointing, but I suppose maybe we'll see it maybe in DLC, because they were looking for somebody that could put in a weather system into their multiplayer, so that could have been pretty cool, but we haven't seen really hide nor hair of that. The other new additions to the game, like the Pick 13 system, I said from the get, man, I thought the Pick 13 system was going to be fantastic, and it is. It's basically just improving upon the Pick 10 system. It gives you the option to do whatever you really want with your multiplayer experience, and really customize it to how you want to play. If you're the kind of person that wants to run 4 kill streaks, you have the ability to do that. If you're the kind of person that wants to run no kill streaks and just stock up on different kinds of perks and equipment and stuff, you can do that. If you just want to run 1 kill streak and then use those extra points to be able to have, you know, a wild card and plus an extra perk, or maybe you want to run a couple more grenades, or you want to have a couple extra attachments on your gun or whatever, you can do all of those things. And the Pick 13 system in my opinion, is the best create class system that we've had in Call of Duty so far. It's before that, it was the Pick 10 system that we had in Black Ops 2, and now it's even better because it's now the Pick 13 system. I guess the Call of Duty Ghost system was pretty good as well, except the Call of Duty Ghost system, something about, I didn't like the way they did the perks. In Call of Duty Ghost, it basically just took a bunch of perks and they just like broke them all apart, and then just had way too many perks within the game. You know, they would take pro perks from other games like Slave Hand Pro from like Black Ops 1, and they just broke that down into like 3 different perks, and it's like, well, that used to be 1 perk. Why'd you have to break it down so much? So because of that, I thought prior Black Ops 2 actually had the best create class system, but now in Advanced Warfare, I'd say it's definitely the best. It's Pick 13. It's awesome. We got supply drops as one of the new additions, and I think that's great. It adds a looting system, or adds more of a random element to the game, as well as it adds a bit more of customization. You know, the customization in Ghost was okay, but you look at the customization you have in Advanced Warfare, the fact that you can go through and just look at every single person in your party or even in your lobby, and you have this looting system where you loot all these different kinds of items. Like, there's so many different kinds of items for you to actually get, and there's actually different sets of gear. Like right now, I'm trying to get like the full Sentinel medic gear because I randomly got like this medic chest piece for my soldier, and I really like the way that looks. It's like it's kind of like an off-white. It's got a little bit of red. Of course, it's got like the red crosses right there because you're supposed to be like a medic or something. And I've been trying to get the pieces for that because I want to see what that entire outfit would actually look like. I end up getting the pants, but so far I only have the chest piece and the pants. I'm really looking forward every time I get a supply drop to hopefully getting another piece of that medic set. I think that would be really, really cool to be able to get. And of course, there's all different kinds of sets. There's not just a Sentinel medic set. There's like a Sentinel Intel set, and there's the Atlas Intel set, and then there's so many different kinds of sets for you to get. It adds like this looting element to the game, and I definitely think it's a welcome addition to Call of Duty. I think it's great. Not only are we getting like pieces of customization, but we're also getting different kinds of guns that can do different things. They have 3 different weapon tiers, which are Enlisted, Professional, and Elite, which those are great. You get to customize your weapons a little bit more. Like, let's say you really like a gun, but you're not really happy about the fire rate, like you're having trouble with this gun. Like, I like this gun a lot, I just wish its fire rate was a little bit better. Well, here you go. You end up getting like a special version of it, like you get a professional or an elite version of that gun out of a supply drop. Well, then suddenly that gun, you know, does have that extra fire rate, but you lose maybe some handling, maybe you lose a little bit of accuracy. Who knows? You know, it's really cool. It allows you once again to tailor your experience to how you want to play Call of Duty, as well as it makes it so you have a little bit of a looting system in the game that always keeps you looking forward to getting that next supply drop, which I think is great. We have the exosuits, which of course who could forget the exosuits as a new addition here to the game. At first, it was kind of hard to get used to. Like, I kid you not, I did not actually understand how to dash or do anything like that until I hit probably level 20 or so when I had the game early, and I basically would just double jump everywhere, which I guess I'm not very good at picking up new controls, because in Borderlands, a pre-sequel, it took me a few hours of playtime to figure out how to butt slam in that game. And kind of the same thing happened in Advanced Warfare here, where I definitely took a while to figure out all that stuff. But now that I've done that, and now that I've actually kind of gotten used to it, I actually like the exosuits, believe it or not. I think that was one of the things I was kind of worried I wouldn't like that much, but I'm honestly used to them. I understand like all the abilities I can do with them. I understand how to move, and I can get to places very quickly, and I like it. It feels smooth when I'm doing it. And at first, it's kind of difficult to like start shooting at people because everyone was kind of jumping a lot of the time, but really that hasn't been that much of an issue over the past few days of the game actually being released. I've gotten used to being able to shoot people in the air. I've gotten used to if you're 2 feet away from somebody, he does that jump, you instantly un-ADS, so you're hip firing at them. That way you have a wider range of view and you can actually move a little bit easier. And it's something I've adapted to, and it's something I actually kind of like. Is it better than your standard Call of Duty, like your traditional Call of Duty movement that we've had over the years? Maybe not. I'd say they're about the same. I'd say they're 2 completely different things to me, and I like them both, but I don't think I really prefer one over the other. I just kind of like them both. So, and the exo abilities themselves, I mean, those are pretty cool. A lot of them I honestly feel as though were pretty worthless. The exo abilities themselves, I feel as though don't actually do a whole lot for you, and even in playing with my friends and stuff early, they don't even use them. they're like, why do I even have this equipped? I never actually think to use like my overclock or my cloak or my stim or anything like that. Like, they never even think to use them, just because they don't really seem to be that useful. The only one I've ever really found a ton of use out of was Exo Overclock, and that's because it allows me to run very, very quickly. So, I don't know. The Exo abilities themselves, I'm not really a big fan, but the actual Exo suit and the movement that you get from it, I think is pretty cool. Let's start talking about the maps. The maps here in Advanced Warfare, in my opinion, are actually pretty good. I do like all the maps. There's not a map that, like, when it pops up in the rotation, that I'm like, oh, this map, oh no, it's unlike Call of Duty Ghost, when I I got that game. Freaking Chasm and Stonehaven. Good God, I didn't want to play either one of those. And Black Ops 2, the only really bad map in my opinion was like Aftermath. I freaking despised Aftermath. And I guess to some extent Overflow was a pretty bad map in Black Ops 2 for me, but for the most part here in Advanced Warfare, there's no map so far that I just dread playing. I actually like all of them. I will say though, I'm not sure if it's part like the map's fault. I'm not sure if it's the game developer's fault. I'm not sure if it's the fault of the new exo abilities. But man, the thing about the maps is it feels like whatever game mode I'm playing, except of course Search and Destroy because there's only one spawn. I feel as though the spawn system on a lot of the maps and a lot of the game modes is pretty janky. I'm not really a big fan of it. Like Kill Confirmed, for example. Like I'll be on one part of the map, and then suddenly, like if we kill off a couple enemies like towards the middle of the map or towards the other side of the map, suddenly like literally their whole team spawns on me, and it's like what? Why me? Why am I dying right now? They all like I feel as though the spawn system in this game, you're kind of constantly getting shot in the back, right? And I think a lot of people are out there having the same experience I am, where a lot of your deaths, actually like the majority of your deaths, are from somebody that's shooting you from the side or shooting you from the back. And I think that's the fault of a bad spawn system. Although, again, it could not be the fault of the spawn system. It could be the fault of the new exosuits and all the movement you have. And the fact that this game, like, I think they heard like all the cries where people are really upset about the idea of exomutes. It basically made it so all the footsteps and just about every single sound within the game is nearly freaking mute. Like you can't hear anything in this game at all aside from like the occasional gunshot, so you don't hear these people running up on you. And I think maybe that's the reason I'm getting shot in the back so much. It's just like I don't hear them like if they're using blast suppressor, which is one of the perks that makes it so you don't show up on the minimap when you do your exo abilities and like jump and stuff like that. Because of that, like I feel as though maybe they're doing that. They're getting up like really close to me, and I can't hear them, so they're shooting at me, and I can't hear them jumping. I can't hear them running. I can't hear them climbing. I can't hear them boosting or dodging or anything. But just suddenly, like they're ghosts like flying through the air, and they end up shooting me in the back. And yeah, so I'm not sure if that's a spawn system or what's up with that, but that's one of the things I'm really not liking about the game so far is I'm constantly being shot in the back or being shot in the side. The gun balance. Let's talk about gun balance here in Advanced Warfare. I gotta say, I do have to say, I don't feel as though there's a lot of gun balance in this game. Now, in Call of Duty Ghosts, the gun balance was pretty good. Of course, the MSBS was completely overpowered when the game first came out. They were quick to patch that, but aside from that, all the guns were pretty balanced with each other. But all things considered, but of course, there's some exceptions, but a lot of the guns were very, very balanced because the game, everyone melted in that game. You end up dying pretty quickly, and because of that, the guns were pretty balanced. In Black Ops 2, I think the guns were actually pretty balanced as well. Of course, you had some ones that were pretty good that people like to use a lot, like the MSMC and the M8A1 and the AN94, but all the guns were really viable in my opinion. So I think the gun balance in the past two Call of Duty games has been pretty good. Even going back to Modern Warfare 3, I think it's been pretty good. But here in Advanced Warfare, I really don't feel as though the gun balance is all that great. I feel as though right now, as it sits, assault rifles are far too dominant on these maps. Like the maps themselves are actually pretty small. Like they're not giant maps, and they play even faster just because of our new exosuits and all the movement abilities that we have as a result of them. And you would think that submachine guns would really kind of tear up these maps because all these encounters that you have are very close quarters, but they're not. Submachine guns are really just not tearing it up whatsoever. It feels as though the submachine guns, either it's the fire rate or it's simply the damage. Like the time to kill on a submachine gun is very, very, very high. It's very high, and because of that, like the Ball 27 assault rifle is better than any submachine gun in the game. It's better than all of them. It's got such a crazy fire rate, and it can take people out at kind of like a distance and stuff, and it just seems to melt you very, very quickly. Whereas if you're using a submachine gun anywhere outside of like a 3 to 5 meter range, you're not really gonna have time to melt that guy that has the Ball 27. The Ball 27, in my opinion, is the best submachine gun in the game, and it's an assault rifle. Then you look at like the AK-12, which is just a beast at long range. You look at the H-bar, that thing is just a beast at range. The assault rifles, in my opinion, are just too good. Like the IMR is, in my opinion, the best gun in the game. Like it's basically an M8A1. It just will melt you in 1 to 2 bursts across the map. It has no recoil. It's got a crazy fire rate. It prints its own damn ammo. I think that's like the best gun in the game. Light machine guns are pretty good. I've used a couple of the light machine guns, not a ton, but I have experimented with the light machine guns a little bit, especially the melee. And the light machine guns have been pretty good. The shotguns, I feel as though are pretty weak. I haven't really had a lot of success with the shotguns. Even the pump action shotgun, like I don't know, like occasionally I'll do okay with it, but for the most part I end up getting a lot of hit markers, and just the range on the shotgun is very, very low. I'd like to see the shotguns get kind of an increased range. Like even with the advanced rifling attachment, they don't seem to. get a lot of one-hit kills, which is kind of a disappointment. I feel as though the snipers are pretty balanced. It's a good balance of sniping, I feel like. Like, I had the game early, and I was facing a lot of people that were, like, in phase and stuff like that, and those guys were actually good at sniping. Like, those guys have been sniping forever, and, like, their entire thing is sniping. Like, when they play Call of Duty, they are sniping, and because of that, they were doing well in our team deathmatches and domination and things like that. They were actually able to take out a lot of people. But in my experience with the game since it's come out, we're facing like the general public. Those people are having a lot of difficulty sniping, and I like that. I want so if you're good at sniping, that you're gonna do well at sniping, and if you're bad at sniping, you're not gonna do good at sniping. To me, that's like the equivalent of like a perfect scenario in Call of Duty when it comes to sniping. So I like that. I definitely think that's pretty good. But overall, I'd say the gun balance is actually kind of weak, just because of the assault rifles being so completely dominant over all of the other weapon tiers, which kind of reminds me a little bit of the original Black Ops, because in Black Ops, the assault rifles were definitely very dominant. I think the part of that had to do with the fact that the maps were so giant in that game that assault rifles were just suited for a lot of the maps, and submachine guns were kind of suited for some of the smaller maps. But you look at some of the submachine guns that you had in the original Black Ops, they were actually viable, and they could actually do pretty good. Like the AK-74U was very good, the MPL was very good. Guns like that in the MP5K were very good submachine guns, whereas here in Advanced Warfare, there are guns I like. There's guns I like to use, like the SN6 and the ASM1, of course the KF5. I like those guns. But it just feels like assault rifles are far too dominant for those to really become viable weapons. Even on some of the smallest maps, like even on the map Biolab, I'm having trouble using a submachine gun as compared to like that Ball 27. Maybe the Ball 27 needs a nerf, but overall, I would say instead of just nerfing the Ball 27, just buff the submachine guns, because even close range stuff like the AK-12, stuff like the HBR and stuff like that, they can still take out submachine guns close range pretty easily and pretty consistently. So I would say submachine guns definitely need a buff in this game. The kill streaks here in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I gotta say, not super happy with them. I guess so far, they all feel pretty weak, of course, this is the first time we actually added some customization to our kill streaks. I guess I could have talked about this in the new additions section of the video, but we're just going to talk about them here. You can actually customize your kill streaks, and you can make them better, but they're going to cost more points. But for me, I don't feel as though upgrading them in a lot of scenarios is actually really worth it, just because it costs so many more points to actually be able to upgrade your thing to become even semi-viable. At that point, it's like, well, this isn't even really worth it. Like, for example, a good example of this is going to be the Warbird, right? So the Warbird itself is kind of like the equivalent of the chopper gunner of Advanced Warfare, right? It costs a lot. I think it costs, and don't crucify me if I don't have the right numbers, I believe it cost 850 score. I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure it cost 850 score. The thing about the Warbird, right, is it has like a 15-second duration. Like, the duration on that thing is not very long at all. And you have a gun. It's basically a chopper gunner. It's more or less a gunship, really, because you can fly around, you can kind of control where it flies, and you can shoot down people, and it's a lot of fun. But it only has like a 15-second duration or so, and your gun actually overheats pretty quickly. And so as a result of that, you actually get to use your gun for maybe 10 seconds of your 15 seconds, and the last 5 seconds of your duration inside your Warbird are actually you just sitting there waiting for your gun to cool down. And you can get, on average, I'll get 3 to 4 kills at the most. I don't think I've ever actually gotten more than 4 kills in a Warbird. I've called in probably 15 of them or so, and I've never actually gotten anything really that great out of it. Now, you can actually improve this kill streak. You can actually upgrade this kill streak to make it so it has more time in it, so you don't have such a short, ridiculously low duration while you're inside your Warbird. But to do that, you need to add 200 more score to your thing. So instead of it being like an 850 point score streak, it's now a 1050 score streak, which if you're playing Team Deathmatch, that is kind of absurd. That's almost an 11 kill streak to be able to get something like that. If you're playing Domination and you're having a hard time getting flag captures, that's absurd. That's like a 20 kill streak you need to go on to be able to get that thing, because you only get 50 points a kill in Domination. So I feel so like the score streaks, like, if they're going to cost that much and you have to cost that much to upgrade them and stuff, they need to be worth it right out of the gate. I feel as though like the Rolling Thunder, for example, is a very good kill streak, and you actually get a lot of value for it. But something like the Warbird, you really don't get a whole lot of value for it. You think of like the Missile Strike. The Missile Strike actually costs quite a bit. It's I want to say it's like 650 scores, somewhere in that range. And the Missile Strike itself is damn near worthless a lot of the time, because Blind Eye is one of the perks that they just give you right from the gate. Like, if you're level 1 and you're just signing into Advanced Warfare for the very first time, you're gonna have Blind Eye on your class. It just comes by default, and that makes you basically invisible susceptible to kill streaks. So you call in something like a missile strike or even something like a warbird, and you try using it. There's just no one on the enemy team that's actually showing up. Like, when you're in a kill streak, all the enemies are supposed to have like this red triangle around them or this red circle around them, and you don't have that in Advanced Warfare because so many people use Blind Eye because they just give it to you right from the gate, and there's really no second tier perk that's really that useful. So everyone uses Blind Eye over the rest of the perks, and because of that, a lot of the kill streaks that are dependent on being able to see your enemy while in your kill streak are really not doing it for me. So the kill streak setup I run, like the optimal setup that I run, and it's so optimal that when I hit second prestige, I'm taking the bombing run with me, is going to be UAV, system hack, and bombing run, because UAV and system hack do not rely on whether or not the people you're facing are actually using Blind Eye. It just gives you a UAV so you can see where they're at on the minimap. System hack is basically the ultimate counter UAV, and it's very annoying. I almost wish it would be nerfed a little bit, but system hack's like the ultimate counter UAV, which completely destroys their HUD and makes it a lot easier for you to get kills. I do actually upgrade that one to give assist points for that, so I can actually acquire my bombing run a bit easier. And then the bombing run it's a stealth bomber. It doesn't matter if you have Blind Eye or not. If a stealth bomber or a bombing run is going over your head, you're gonna die. So that's like the main kill streak I run. I feel also the kill streaks so far are pretty underwhelming. I'd like to see them get buffed a little bit. They do feel pretty weak. A lot of them, all things considered, do feel pretty weak, and I'd like to see them be a little bit stronger. The perks in the game, I really have no complaints. They give me everything I really want to do with the perks. I usually run perk 3 greed, so I can use both toughness, which is still a crutch perk, and I kind of wish that wasn't the case, but I use perk 3 greed so I can have toughness, and I can have blast suppressor, because blast suppressor is a godsend. Like, it's one of the best perks in the game. I love it, man. It makes it so basically if you're jumping or dashing or boosting or whatever you're doing in your exosuit, you don't actually ping on your opponent's mini-map, which is great. I definitely like that. But aside from that, they've added some new things to the perk systems, like Gung Ho is a perk that a lot of people are liking. Myself, I don't personally like Gung Ho all that much, because all it really does is make it so you can hip fire while sprinting, right? But the thing about hip fire while sprinting is your crosshairs are so far apart, even on a shotgun, that's like, it's kind of silly how hard it is to actually be able to hit people with this. Like, I've experimented with it and I've used it, but overall I found I just don't really like it that much. I don't really use it a whole lot. They have added some new perks into the game, and those new perks are kind of cool. Like the idea of peripherals is kind of a cool idea for a perk, and they've added stuff to the game. And the perks, I have really no complaints with the perks. They really allow you to do whatever it is you want to do. But for me, I'm very simplistic when it comes to my perks, because right now, like the grenades in Advanced Warfare, they don't seem to be that prevalent. So I don't use flak jacket like I usually do in every single Call of Duty game. I just don't use it that much. Basically, I have lightweight, I have toughness, and I have blast suppressor on every single class, and those are really the 3 perks that I use all the time. They give me everything I really want. And if at some point, like down in the game's life cycle where grenades really become more prevalent, then I can always just use flak jacket as well. And so you really have everything I want via the perks. So I really have no complaints with that. And overall, I'd say that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is a promising game. Of course, there's some things I would like to see change. Like I said, with the guns and the kill streaks, like I feel as though that the submachine guns definitely need a big buff in this game. I think that's definitely something that needs to happen. I think kill streaks also should get a buff somehow. I've never actually seen them buff kill streaks in Call of Duty games, so chances are that's not going to happen. But I feel as though the kill streaks are pretty weak. I feel as though submachine guns are pretty weak, and I'd like to see both of them get buffed, as well as the shotguns even. I'd like to see those get buffed, because right now, like I said, assault rifles are just very, very dominant. But overall, I'm happy with the game. I don't really have too many complaints with the game, aside from the fact that I get shot in the back a lot, which I talked about in the maps section of this video. I don't know if there's really a way to fix that. I'm not sure if it's because of the spawn system. I'm not sure if it's because of the sound system where you can't hear people jumping and dashing and boosting like 2 feet behind you, or if it's something to do with the exosuits and people are just constantly moving around so much that, just by the very nature of everyone moving around so much, you are going to, in fact, end up getting shot in the back, getting shot in the side a little bit more than you're probably used to from prior Call of Duty. So those are really the complaints I have with the game, and those are all things I like about the game. Overall, I'm happy with the game. I think it's a welcome addition to Call of Duty, and it's actually pretty good. I like it so far. I'm just hoping in the coming months that it actually has the staying power for me that Call of Duty Ghost really didn't. Call of Duty Ghost, after a few months, for me, it was just like, there's nothing to do in this game. When in Call of Duty Ghost, I think the very thing that made me kind of turned off Call of Duty Ghost, one was like the time to kill, right? The time to kill in the game, I didn't like it. I don't know if it was like eye compensation or what, but it always felt like you got melted, and because of that, it was just so aggravating for me to play. But the biggest thing for me in Call of Duty Ghost, what really kind of turned me off that game, was the unlock system. They basically gave you like these tokens, right? And you can just unlock anything right away all the time. Like, I could be level 10 and I could have all the things that I would ever want in my class. I can unlock the particular gun I want that I usually won't unlock until very later on in my prestige. I can take the perks I wouldn't, have until later on in my prestige. I just have all these things right away, and because of that, there's a reward system in Call of Duty Ghosts for me. Yeah, I didn't think there was a reward system because you could just have everything right away at all times. And because of that, leveling didn't really seem like it was something you really should have been doing, because you can just have all your things already. So it's like, what's the point of leveling? There's no progress in that game for me. Whereas in Advanced Warfare, it's completely different. There actually is a leveling system. There is this progress system that you have, and you feel like you're progressing through your prestige and you're unlocking new things. And I definitely think that's pretty cool. And of course, the addition of supply drops, that's definitely awesome. So just by the very nature of that, I feel as though this game is going to have good staying power. But we'll have to see. We're only in the first month of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. In fact, we're only a few days into Call of Duty Advanced Warfare at the time of this video going up. So who knows if this game will have staying power? Because everybody loves the new Call of Duty for the first 2 months even. But it's after those first few months that the true colors of the Call of Duty game they kind of shine a little bit more, and it's easier for us to decide whether or not it's actually a good game or not compared to the other ones. So we'll have to see about that. But right now, I'm definitely liking the game. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves, and of course, let me know in the comments your guys' opinions on Advanced Warfare so far. What are you guys liking about the game? What are you guys disliking about the game? I would definitely be interested to read about that, as well as be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you made it this far into the video and you're new to my channel, because I post a lot of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare content. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.